Go.
Hi, it's Sunday, June 30th, 2013, and I'm standing in front of Johnson Hall in the Mohawk Valley of New York. Uh, this is really interesting to me. I had never heard of William Johnson before, but he was an Irish immigrant and basically kind of the ambassador to the frontier. As a Californian, I think it's funny to think of New York as the frontier, but in the 1700s it certainly was. And my instructor kind of calls it the capital of the frontier here, Johnson Hall. I think of it more as like an embassy or a consulate where William Johnson was an ambassador on behalf of the British Empire, particularly to the Mohawks, which was the furthest western of the five, or I'm sorry, furthest eastern of the five Iroquois Confederacy tribes. As you can see behind me, Johnson Hall is typical Georgian architecture with the symmetry. The second floor window is a little smaller than the first floor windows. The dentum, the pediment above the front door. I've just come from inside. It's beautiful inside. William Johnson made much of his fortune, not just from real estate speculating, but from the fur trade. And not only was he fluent in English, but he was fluent in German. He learned the Mohawk language. He actually married Joseph Brant's sister, Molly, and had several children he had two marriages, but had several children with Molly. He played an important role in the French and Indian War, so we're actually predating the Revolutionary War, but I think this is an important stop to kind of understand the Native Americans' role in the Revolutionary War later on, and why most of them sided with the Loyalists and Britain as opposed to with the Americans. William Johnson was wounded at one point with a bullet hole. He was so respected by the Mohawks, they took them to their sacred waters in Saratoga Springs, where we're spending 3 nights to take a bath in the Saratoga Springs mineral waters, and he was almost cured. He came out feeling much better. He's going to die in 1774 after having a huge council with Native Americans brought here to Johnson Hall. I also found it really interesting that tribes as far away as the Cherokee would come all the way up here to negotiate and parley with William Johnson as someone so respected, the Cherokee getting upset with the westward movement of white settlers. Fort Johnson is just a little south of here, named after William Johnson. That's going to be taken over by his son-in-law. He had no surviving male heirs, and that's on the present-day Erie Canal. His Native American name was loosely translated into the man who would accomplish great things, or the man who would explore and complete great adventures. And so this is just our first stop today. I think I'm going to have more about William Johnson later on at Fort Stanwix and at the battle site that we'll be studying. And I've never been to Fort Stanwix, hadn't heard of it before this trip, or the Battle of Oriskany. All right, so we're editing. The Battle of Oriskany also is an important spot for the history of William Johnson. So I'm going to go back inside and look at the art. Thank you.